Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Welcome to an appropriate amount of Soup Classics. My name is Shannon Davis. Not with me today is Dom. He's dead, or sick, or busy, or something. He'll be back later, or he won't. We'll find out what happens. Today we're going to be talking about Antigone. It is written by Sophocles sometime before 441 BC. It was the play popular enough to get Sophocles elected into office as a general of the army. Aristotle, he loved it. It's in politics, so, it's good. For my work, I have Dom. He loves my whatever it is I do, so that's just as good. Side note, the name Sophocles means famed for wisdom. So, what an arrogant jerk this guy is. He thinks he's so good because his work survived thousands of years. I do a podcast that sometimes gets upwards of 100 listeners. Yes, I am going to keep comparing myself to Sophocles. And quite frankly, I'm better. So, let people know. Today we're going to be talking about the first written of the three Theban plays, Antigone, which is the last in the trilogy, but the first written and released. Sophocles has gone and done himself a Star Wars. The Theban plays by Sophocles are centered around Oedipus and his family. Yes, that Oedipus, the Freud one. Yep. Let's look at the cast. So we have Antigone. She is the daughter of Oedipus and Jocasta. And you might be asking yourself, is Jocasta the... Yeah, and she is. That's the one. That's Antigone's mum, Nan. We have Ismene, the sister of Antigone. There's a chorus of Theban citizens and their leader. There is Creon, who is the newly crowned king of Thebes, and he is the uncle of Antigone. You're probably not going to like him very much. There is a sentry. He is a sentry. There is Haemon. He is the son of Creon and Eurydice. Eurydice is not Creon's mother. Fortunately, that's a good thing. Tiresias, he's a blind prophet. The prophets are always blind in these Greek plays. That's kind of like a thing. It's, ironic or something. The person that can't see sees more. Yeah, it's a thing. There's a messenger. The messenger is a messenger. He does messages. And then Eurydice, who is Creon's wife and the mother of Haemon. There's also guards, attendants, and a boy. They won't say much or do much. You don't have to think about them. Okay, so the setting of this piece. We are in the royal house of Thebes. An invading army has just been defeated, led by 7 chiefs, one of whom was Polynices, the son of Oedipus. This has happened after the exile of Oedipus, which is covered in the second and third plays, Oedipus Rex and the other one, the Phantom Menace. While Oedipus is gone, his sons have been fighting for his kingdom. Oedipus was angered that instead of helping him, they immediately tried to take his kingdom. So he curses them, like as you do as a parent, right? At some point when your children, they're babies, they're kids, they grow up, you hold them, you love them, you curse them. It's your responsibility as a parent to give that kid a little curse at some point. Due to said curse and the fact that they fought each other with swords, the sons of Oedipus, Eteocles and Polynices, are both dead. Creon, their uncle, is now the king of Thebes. So we start the play with Antigone speaking to her sister Ismene. She's pretty upset about the whole her brothers are dead thing. Ismene is not completely across what has happened. Antigone fills her in. Eteocles, who defended Thebes, will be given a proper burial. Polynices, the brother who attacked his own home with the armies of Argos, will have his body left exposed, for the wild dogs and the crows and crabs. I don't know. Animals pick at it. Now, while this would be significant in our time, it's a big disgrace to leave a body out. In their time, it was even more significant in this period of ancient Greece. This practice is not just disrespectful to the dead, but also an affront to the gods. So, Polynices is a part of this family, Creon and Antigone, and so they're all part of the same family. So they have a responsibility to see him properly put to rest, despite any actions that he may have taken. Creon refuses anyone to do this. If they do, they will be killed. He refuses anyone to even mourn Polynices. So have yourself a mourn in the morn, and then you'll be stoned to death. Rock throwy, stoned to death. Bad times. Despite this decree, Antigone wants to bury her brother anyway. She's going to do the right thing. She's, a good lady. She asks Ismene for help, but apparently Ismene doesn't want to be stoned to death for reasons. She says no. Antigone calls Ismene out for being a big old wuss and does the whole, it's fine. I'll do it myself. Like, you get nicked. I've got this. So then the chorus, they go on to tell the story of the Seven Against Thebes, which isn't really covered in the work of Sophocles. We are still waiting for him to release, his Clone Wars equivalent to fill in the kind of middle parts that get missed. Moving on. Enter King Creon. He introduces himself. He declares that it's his civic duty to care for Thebes, and this is greater than the needs of his family and his friends and his own self-interest. You get the impression immediately that he might be like a good ruler. You'd be wrong, but you'd get the impression. A sentry shows up. The sentry will not get to the point. He rambles on and on and on and talks in circles, talks in a repeated way, and he babbles and refuses to get to the point, and it's obnoxious, and he keeps doing it, even though you want him to stop. But, he just keeps doing it. Will he ever get to the point? Is there a point to get to? Eventually he does. Someone has buried Polynices against Creon's orders. Gasp. Who could that be? It's Antigone, obviously. But Creon doesn't know that yet. Neither does the sentry. Creon thinks the sentry is involved and that the soldiers have been taking bribes, so he tells that man, the sentry, if he doesn't find the people responsible, Creon will hold the sentry responsible, and that he will be killed or tortured. Now, the sentry is one of the more sensible characters in ancient literature and decides that he's just going to run away. So he goes off and he does that. So, good on the sentry. The chorus comes back, rambles a bit about anthropology and sociology. Then the sentry returns. So, forget all the stuff I said about the sentry being smart. He has news, though. He's seen Antigone in the act. He's off to tell on her. So he reveals that after Creon's displeasure was made known, all the soldiers, they took Polynices' body back, unburied it, exposed it for a second time. Antigone found them with said body and attempted to cover it with dirt again, this time directly in front of the soldiers, so not a great idea. She is brought before Creon, and she doesn't deny anything. She's up for the fight. She's tough, right? This lady, she's gonna go her uncle. The sentry nicks off again with all this happening. Antigone calls Creon out on all of his garbage. She says that she doesn't care about his laws, that the laws of the gods supersede anything that he wants to do. Creon wants Ismene arrested as well, because obviously she's guilty because of all of that innocence. They will both be put to death, both Antigone and Ismene. Antigone is defiant, as you would expect from this fiery lady. She tells Creon that everyone in Thebes thinks he sucks, but they're all scared to tell it to his face because he's a tyrant and a jerk. He's just some guy that's appointed himself king and expects everyone to do whatever he says, even when he's telling everyone to do terrible things. And if you disobey him, you die. And no one much cares for him. A quick aside, an adaptation of this play was famously performed in a Nazi-occupied France for some symbolic reason that's well above my understanding. Also above my understanding is that there have been a few modern productions of this in the US as well, but this is not a political podcast. Anyway, Ismene confesses to a crime that she didn't commit. She feels guilty about not performing the rites for the dead initially, but now she's going to stand with her sister. She's not going to let Antigone face all of these troubles alone. And then Antigone tells her that, you can't be all righteous now, Missy. It's too late for that. Antigone's kind of a jerk here, but she's been through a lot, so let's give her some space. They argue for a bit. Creon thinks they're both crazy. He is probably right at this point. Ismene tries to convince Creon to let Antigone go, as we discover that she is engaged to Creon's son, Haemon. Now, if you were paying attention when I was talking about the cast here, we might recall that Antigone and Haemon are first cousins, which is apparently fine. Oedipus and his whole deal, cursed, exiled, he wound up blinding himself. Bad. Cousins, no consequence. Good. Good on you, ancient Greece. Anyway, Creon doesn't listen to Ismene. He has the guards take both sisters away. Now enter Haemon, the fiancé. So Creon asks Haemon if he's cool with the whole murdering his fiancé thing, and Haemon is, gives his dad a bit of, hey mate, I'm fine with the whole thing. Obviously this is a great idea. You're great at this whole ruling thing. But I've been hearing the word on the street, and everyone else thinks you suck. And everyone else thinks the sisters are super cool. Now I would never say anything like that, but literally everyone else is. So, Creon reads between the lines. Quote from him is, so men our age, we're to be lectured, are we? Schooled by a boy his age? Which, yes, Creon, yes, you should be. You are rubbish. Haemon dishes up large quantities of sass. Haemon and Creon argue until Haemon leaves because Creon sucks. Creon decides that he is going to build a tomb for Antigone. This is the way that he's going to deal with her defiance, right? It's going to be out in the middle of nowhere and underground. She's going to be locked in there with short supplies. It's all a little bit Edgar Allan Poe, right? He's not going to kill her. It's just going to make sure that she's not alive. Creon decides not to kill Ismene, even though she has committed the heinous crime of being completely innocent. So, tick there, I guess. Next, the chorus points out that this all might be due to the curse on Oedipus that was mentioned at the start. Antigone is all like, yeah, fair. Enter blind Tiresias. He is led by a boy because he's blind, not because he's Greek. Tiresias tells Creon that the auguries fail and that the altars are refusing sacrifice because Creon has failed to perform the rites. Creon basically calls Tiresias a money-hungry jerk, accuses him of just, you don't care about the gods or me or anything or the country, you're just in this for the money, right? Tiresias gets upset by this. He makes a prophecy, which is appropriate, because he's a prophet. Because Creon has left a dead man above the earth and is placing a living woman below the earth, without even so much as a cask of Amontillado sherry, he has disobeyed and dishonoured the gods. As such, he will pay with his own child, and tragedy will befall Thebes. Now, this finally convinces Creon to free Antigone and have her brother buried properly. Now, he leaves to go do that. Oops. Too late. The chorus calls on Dionysus, god of madness. Now, more on that fellow in the Bacchae episode of An Appropriate Amount of Super Classics. Check that out. Great episode. There's no shameless plugs in that one. A messenger appears with a message. The message is that Creon has killed his son, Haemon. The messenger reports this to Eurydice, Creon's wife. Now, we find out what has happened from this message. So, Creon had found Polyneices' body. He cleaned it, had it burnt, and a mount built, as he should have done in the first place. With that done, he goes to Antigone's tomb. As he approaches, he hears Haemon screaming. Haemon has found Antigone, who has hung herself, and she has died. Creon tries to talk to Haemon, but his son draws a sword and leaps to attack him. Creon avoids this attack, but after failing to kill his father, Haemon runs himself through and he dies next to his fiancée. Hearing all this, Eurydice leaves. Creon returns with his son's body. Another message. Eurydice has ended her own life. So now Creon is left alone, without his son, without his wife. In the end, Antigone has her brother buried. Creon ensures Antigone's death, and everyone gets what they wanted. So, happy ending, technically. That's about all. That's the end. So I hope you liked that. Soup ratings, as always, are a bit weird with this one because it's an ancient text. Let's give this a fasolada, a Greek white bean soup. That I don't know how ancient that is. I don't know when that was invented. Someone Google that and let me know. Next episode, we should have Dom back. Love you all. Peace out. See you next time.